Here we are, guys. The day has finally arrived. Season 3 is now upon us, and you join us where we left off in the previous episode with a choice to make. We can either stay with Mana, which we're not going to do. We can pick a new team and venture off on a new path on this F1 2016 career mode. I've taken all of your votes into consideration, and from the straw poll, I've decided from Season 3 onwards, we're going to be racing with McLaren Honda. So, yeah, a new adventure, a new challenge. We're going to be a midfield team now in Season 3. We're essentially going to be going back to the drawing board like we were in Season 1. In a bit of a rebuild season, we're going to be in the pack quite a lot. We've got a lot more catching up to do versus the leaders than what we were in Season 1. So we're going to be quite a way off the pace in the initial few rounds of this championship. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to the new challenge and just seeing what we can do with upgrades with this new McLaren car. Hopefully they've been really good in terms of their development, R&D, all that kind of thing. As we go onto the next screen, you can see that we've essentially got absolutely no resource points up our sleeve. But the good thing though is that the team have been working on the engine over the last 2 seasons. We've got 3 upgrades against our name. We've only got 2 more to go before the engine is maxed out. So the car is going to be pretty handy in terms of straight line speed right off the bat. So that's something we don't need to worry about. But here we go. These are our very first moments in this McLaren Honda on a very empty Albert Park circuit. We're getting back into the grind here in Friday practice, getting a feeler for the car, getting some resource points up, because that is going to be the ultimate decider of our long-term success, getting the upgrades on the car, making ourselves quicker by the end of the season to hopefully start winning some races. That is definitely going to be the goal, trying to close down that gap between ourselves and Mana Mercedes. And as you can see there, at the end of Friday practice, we've ran through all of our practice regimes, tyre wear test, qualifying pace, track acclimatization, and you can see that is our maximum, essentially. That was a qualifying run, and 2.1 seconds off the pace. That is going to be an indication as to where our pace is, and the kind of season we're going to have early on before the upgrades come on.
Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly.
So here we are then for qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. Just taking one last look at the setup screen before Parc Ferme conditions are fully underway. In terms of setup, I'm still running with the Mana Mercedes setup. That has given me all the success that I've had so far in Season 1 and 2. I'm probably going to alter that in future episodes once I get a bit of a feeler for what this McLaren Honda needs in terms of setup direction. But heading out on track, I'm using the soft compound tyres to run in the first stint, and it only got us position 20, something like that. So we have to go out again on the super soft tyres and try and secure ourselves a position into qualifying session number 2. So it's going to be a lot harder this season to get through or get out of qualifying 1. It's going to take a lot more effort, maybe even take up all of our sets of tyres if we can't get an absolute banger in. But here we go, the end of our first run on the super soft tyres. A bit of oversteer through the final corner, as you saw there. Open the DRS up to the line. We improve by over a second, and we only go P16, only 1 place shy of being knocked out in qualifying 1 here. We fast forward time, and we're in position 18, so we have to go out again right at the death of the session, and that means we've essentially used up all of our sets of tyres. So even if we do make it out of qualifying 1 here, we're going to be absolutely screwed for Q2. But I think it's probably worth just getting ourselves out of qualifying 1, getting the best grid position we can, and then when we get into Q2, if we make it, we're just going to have to fight with a few used sets of tyres. But either way, checkered flag is out. We are 2/10 clear of our best lap so far. This has been a very tidy lap so far. Going through the middle sector now, braking just under the Fly Emirates sign, 3rd gear turn in for turn number 7. And yeah, this is kind of the area where we lose a lot of our lap time. It's the start finish straight, also the 2nd straight there, and then the 3rd sector we're lacking a little bit as well. It's not just straight line speed we're really lacking, it's kind of just downforce and overall grip a little bit. So a lot of areas to work on in this McLaren Honda. But coming to the 3rd sector now, you can see we're 5/10 up on our previous best. So this has been a really, really good lap. Near my ultimate pace in terms of lap time, so there's absolutely nothing more to squeeze out of this McLaren Honda. Final corner, open the DRS. Hopefully this lap is good enough to get ourselves into qualifying too. Do we make it? Yes, we do. With a lap time, I don't even know what the lap time is, to be honest, but it gets us 15th place, and we are just safe into the next session, but at a cost of all of our qualifying sets of tyres. You can see Max Verstappen gets first place in qualifying 1. Kimi Räikkönen is through on a set of soft compound tyres. Fernando, my teammate, also made it through in P13. And here you can see the guys that were knocked out. Magnussen, Bottas, Palmer, and I didn't scroll down any further. So that's the grid position we've got for the race for the Australian Grand Prix. I went ahead and did qualifying too, and I got P15 in that one. So yeah, had nothing to fight with in Q2, but that is where we stand at the moment at a very tough track. It's time for the race.
They say that even a second is an eternity in Formula One, so going 4 winter months with no racing at all has seemed a very long time indeed. We're back though in Melbourne, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996.
So here we are on the grid of the Australian Grand Prix. A new team, a new season, possibly a new era for us as well. Trying to take this McLaren Honda all the way to the top like we did with the Manor Mercedes. Race strategy looks fairly simple there. Soft compound tyres, finishing on the mediums. In terms of weather, it's a little bit cloudy, but I don't think there's going to be any threat of rain. We may have to see later on in the race. Sometimes the actual weather can vary from what actually is said in the overall forecast. But here we are gridding up for our very first race in this McLaren. It's going to be awfully tough to score points at a track like this where the AI are so strong. Season 3 is now underway for the Australian Grand Prix. Very nice start. We jump past Esteban Gutierrez. Magnussen flies past us on the inside. I'm going to stick to around the outside and try and find a gap. There's been a Ferrari that's been spun out. That's Kimi Räikkönen. And I've run into the back of Daniel Kvyat because the traffic was just stopped to a standstill. Räikkönen is still gone. The safety car is now out. It's been an absolute calamity at turn 1. And this season has not got off to the best foot here. Here's a replay of the start. You can see that's Max Verstappen on pole position. Lewis Hamilton alongside him. And pretty even start between the two of them. I think Lewis might have actually led into turn 1. Yes, he did. Now here's... No, we can't see Vettel from that screen. This is what we can see. That's us running into the rear end of Daniel Kvyat. Now here's the onboard on Rosberg. Now he's the instigator for this crash, kind of making contact with the Manor Mercedes, and then he pinballed off to the left-hand side and took out Kimi Räikkönen. So from the third-person view, the Manor goes for a late lunge. I think that's Pascal, and then, yeah, just a pinball effect, and unfortunately Räikkönen was the guy who was left on the outside, and he was just the main loser out of that. You can see the massive traffic jam that we were involved in, both the Bananas, the Saubers, Williams, and there was also a crash between, I think, Nico Hülkenberg and Rosberg after they got going again, which I didn't actually manage to capture on screen there. But under safety car conditions, we've got to come in, change our front wing because we ran into the back of Daniel Kvyat there. And I think I'm going to possibly alter my strategy here. We need to have a think about this because we were going to go on to medium tyres in the next stint, but we're actually going on to softs here. I made a mistake. What I would have liked to have done is actually switch onto the mediums right now and get that slow tyre out of the way. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in again, put on the mediums, and then if I have time in the next lap, I'm actually going to put the soft compound tyres on again and run those to the rest of this race. So we're getting the mandatory tyre out of the way, and then after that, we're basically just going to run the soft compound tyres to finish this race to give us a little bit of a strategy advantage, whereas everyone else either has to run the mediums or they have to run like a super soft near the end of the race if they start on medium. So either way, we're opening up our race in terms of flexibility, so fingers crossed it can help us later on in this race. But looks like that's Gutierrez there. Had an engine failure right as we were going back to green flag racing. And I don't believe there will be a safety car. The game just doesn't like bringing out back-to-back safety cars. But away we go. We set the fastest lap of the race somehow, which is a 1:41.8. Harrianto going up the inside of Hulkenberg. And I'm going to try and swoop in and join in on the party. That's us in a P20 now. Can we get up the inside of Harrianto into turn 3? It's pretty opportunistic of us to think we can dive bomb him from about 30 meters back, but we'll carry on. Lap 5, you can see we've caught up to a massive train, including our teammate Fernando Alonso. A Ferrari is up there as well. I'm guessing that's Raikkonen. Rosberg is in there as well as we got the inside of Harrianto. He was caught napping. He should have really defended there, but he had no problems in letting me take his position there. So we move into 19th place with Rosberg up next, and he's already looking to better his position going up the inside of one of the salvos. That's Felipe Nasr. He's got a really bad exit, having to let Rosberg slide on through, and we get his position once again. So when it comes to these wheel-to-wheel battles with all the AI and these massive trains, we're making the most of this. We're looking really good. Moving into P15 as we actually made contact with Rosberg heading into turn 3. I was very lucky to get away with no damage there, but we carry on to lap 6. Alonso is shaping up a move on Ericsson here, and I'm going to follow him very, very closely heading into turn 1. Again, one of the salvos gets shoved out wide through turn 1. We take advantage, and now we're on the slipstream on the back of our teammate Fernando Alonso. Some of the leaders have made their stops as well. That was Max Verstappen just coming out of the pit lane there, so the effective race leader is right behind us now, putting pressure on us on the medium tyres. So at this stage, I was just saving a little bit of fuel behind Alonso, but then when Max got very, very close, I had to get a move on, had to put a car between myself and Verstappen. He's very, very quick at this stage, so we did that at pretty much the perfect time. They're up the inside of Alonso into turn 1, using the slipstream to our advantage, and I think there was actually a little bit of contact there between the teammates. You'll see on board with Alonso. I just think he turned in a little bit too early. Was expecting me to turn in very early and leave him a bit more space, and he raised up the hand in frustration. I think I raised my hand as well. So already there's a little bit of friction between the two teammates. That's a brilliant shot going through turn 1. The two McLaren Hondas side by side, absolutely going hammer and tong, and it didn't last too long as Verstappen pretty much interrupted our party. He's going up the inside into turn 3. I'm not having any of that. I just want to keep him behind for as long as possible. There's contact between myself and Verstappen. He goes out wide there. I lost the back end. Really had to keep the car under control to save that. And Verstappen has actually hit me in the rear end there through the middle sector. I wasn't exactly happy with that, but I know how dangerous Max Verstappen is. I know like how big of a threat he is in this race and in this championship, and if I can hold him up, maybe prevent him from winning this race, then that might help me later on down the track if the development is absolutely awesome from McLaren Honda. It's extremely wishful thinking, but I've just got to think aggressively here, and I just want to keep Max Verstappen behind me. That's why I'm fighting so hard to keep him behind me at this stage. Verstappen is attacking me left, right, and center every single lap. There's contact again, and now we're out. We have collided with Max Verstappen on lap 11 of the Australian Grand Prix. I think we squeezed him a bit too much there. We rebounded off his car. We lost control, and Max was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we collected him on the second impact, lost our front right tyre, and I don't even know what happened to Max Verstappen's car there. We're going to have a look at his onboard, but you can see there, he was squeezed right up against the wall there. I just misjudged how close to the wall he was, just trying to be aggressive, trying to defend as hard as I could, and we overstepped the mark there. Simple as that. You can see this is Max's on board here. A little bit of space to the right, but not much. I squeezed him just too much, and that was entirely my fault. I'll put my hand up. That was definitely my fault. It looks like Max is actually going to carry on here with a red front wing, and look at that shot. That's our car going tumbling off into distance, and our race is done. I can't believe it.
Okay, some information on site. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
And I can see now the drivers are making their way out. We need Red Bull fighting at the front. They do an incredible amount for Formula One. And that's another winner's trophy heading back to Milton Keynes.
That's exactly what I want to see. Coming from where I was last season, seeing my former teammate and my main rival from Season 2 standing on the podium for this Australian Grand Prix. At least an Australian has actually won the Australian Grand Prix for the first time in, I think, forever. But yeah, just can't believe what happened in that race. Yeah, just got overly aggressive with Verstappen. Probably should have picked my fight a bit better. I should have realised that probably he wasn't a guy that I was really fighting with in this race. It's a real shame too, because I really wanted to see, you know, how the car would have handled, how our strategy would have played out as well. I felt like we were on for a pretty good race there on the soft compound only strategy. So a little bit disappointing. I don't have a gauge on, you know, how the fuel economy is with this McLaren Honda either. Yeah, it's just a bad way to start this championship. Championship standings, Ricciardo leads 25 points, Vettel second, Wehrlein third. I saw Daniel Kvyat up there as well after getting tangled up in the first corner incident. He managed to finish like inside the top 5 there, so really good drive from him. And there we are, sitting in dead last place in the championship standings, even though we beat Esteban Gutierrez in this race. But we'll carry on. McLaren Honda sit in 9th place in the Constructors on 0 points. So in both the drivers and the Constructors, we've got a lot of work to do in this championship to not only claw our way back in terms of car performance, but also come back in terms of the points deficit we've given away to a lot of our rivals in this first race. Driver position is absolutely atrocious with the team. We could be fired at any moment as well. So Season 3 has just got off to the perfect start so far. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this first episode in the McLaren Honda. If you have any suggestions as to where to take this car in terms of car development, let me know down in the comments down below. The engine is looking pretty good at the moment. 3 upgrades against our name. I think it's more to do with weight reduction and downforce, the areas we need to work on. But that's been this episode for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time for episode number 2 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Should be a much stronger track for us versus the AI. Until then guys, I'll see you next time.